Did you miss your deadline to renew your Medicaid coverage? You can still send your completed annual review form to Healthy Connections Medicaid. You may be assigned to another health plan, but you can ask to come back to First Choice within 60 days of renewed Medicaid eligibility. It's your family. It's your choice. First Choice is the right choice. Renew and choose us. Visit selecthealthofsc.com/renew to learn more.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of statistics, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and an enormous selection of players and stat options are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million football fans who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Hey everybody, I'm Gigi.
And I'm Fruit Loop.
Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. So we haven't done a podcast in a couple of days. My youngest daughter turned 9 yesterday, so that day was all about her. So we have a couple of hearings to go over and a few other things. So we are going to get started.
Yeah, so we're going to jump right into Lori's hearing. And what did we learn about that? What did we think about that from yesterday or the day before? Yeah,
the news today, which is just came down, was that they dropped the desertion charges against Lori. Obviously, they've moved on to bigger charges, so the desertion's not needed. That was just dropped. And she will have to deal with the conspiracy to conceal or alter or destroy evidence. So that's a much bigger charge. I mean, she's just going to have more consequences with that. It's just a lead up to murder charges, really.
Yeah, it's just some people were kind of freaking out a little bit about it that I saw, and that's typical in cases. And you just see it's just a pathway to where they're eventually going.
Right. And adding the conspiracy charges for Chad, because now he has 2 new sets of charges. He has the felony destruction or alteration or concealment of evidence. But they also added to him the conspiracy to commit or alter or destroy or conceal evidence. And what that means is it really kind of brings Lori, Alex, and Chad into the center of all this. And so what that means essentially is they have some sort of evidence that shows the 3 of them conspired to hide these remains, which is a really big deal.
Yeah, and it kind of leads you to know, okay, the evidence is big in this case.
Right. Yeah, it does. And so all this is sort of a placeholder for bigger charges later. And the reason they don't slap them with murder charges right this second is that when you formally charge somebody and they have an arraignment, they have a right to a speedy trial. And I believe, I don't know if it's 21 days, but it's not a long time. And what prosecutors don't want is to charge them with murder too soon and not be fully finished with that investigation. And then you may have a defendant who says, I want a speedy trial. Let's get it over with. And then what you're doing is sort of tying prosecution's hands behind their back. They don't want to do that to themselves. So right now, these guys aren't going anywhere in jail. Between the 2 of them, the bond is $2 million, and they don't have the assets. So they'll come. I think people obviously just want the charges to be official, but everybody, including Lori and Chad, have to know they're coming. So
yeah, and we don't even have a cause of death yet, really.
Right. Those autopsies aren't finished, and we know that as of right now, the families have not received the remains of the kids because they're still performing tests on them. So it'll all come in time, and we have no doubt that there's going to be many huge charges that's going to come out of this. So we wanted to touch on that first off, just because on a lot of the groups on Facebook and beyond, there's a lot of panic. Well, this is only 10 years. They'll get out in 5 with good time, but no, it's coming. They're not getting off.
It's a slow process.
Right.
And, like we've said before, that the FBI and everybody involved, law enforcement, they're wanting to make sure this is slow and methodical, and they cross every I, or dot every I, cross every T.
Yeah.
So the other thing, what did you think when it came on, when Colby was on there? It was, for me, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Because I didn't expect that. What did you think about that?
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be on camera. Kay and Larry were also in on the Zoom call, but they were not on camera. And I thought, is there another, obviously Colby is Tylee's next of kin and JJ's big brother. So he's a victim's advocate. He's their representative. But, beyond that, I kind of have thought maybe there's a reason they put him on there. And I don't know if her crying had anything to do with it, wiping tears with a tissue. But I don't know, that it was just that he's a victim's advocate.
Yeah. That would have to pull at your heartstrings, I would think. I mean, because she's staring at him because what we know is a big screen.
Yeah, it's not like a small computer screen in that courtroom. It's a fairly large screen that they show evidence on, and I've been in a few, and they're big. So when you're seeing remains on a court screen, it is as if you're in a movie theater seeing it.
Yeah. And his reactions, they were tough, depending on what was said. You could clearly see a reaction from him. And I thought his wife did very well. She was pretty...
She was the backbone, you could tell. She was strong. She kind of let him be weak in that moment. And it has to be so hard for Colby. He lost a lot of his family. I mean, if you look at it, he's lost Tylee, he's lost JJ, and in a sense, he's lost his mom, and he doesn't have a dad. So I feel so bad for Colby. All this has to be gut-wrenching. But we noticed a lot of reaction, not in a big way, but very subtle reactions to when they would call her Ms. Daybell.
Yeah, he did not like that.
No, and he got emotional when they were reading the charges and said the names of his siblings. And we were listening to an interview that Nate Eaton did today where somebody that was in the courtroom said, because there's been a lot of debate, did she have something in her eye? Or was she sort of faking the emotion? But what did Nate say about that?
From what he had heard was she really was emotional.
Yeah, somebody that was in the courtroom with her physically had said that when they started reading the charges for Tylee, she got very teary-eyed. And I thought, I saw her wipe her eyes, and for me, my first impression was, okay, she's a little emotional. I mean, we haven't seen anything like that. We've seen the opposite. We've sort of seen chin up, nose in the air, a grin, kind of the opposite of...
Yeah, her body language in this one was totally different from me watching. She didn't look up much. Normally, she was looking up at the judge. When we've seen her, she's making eye contact with the judge and all. And this one, she was totally different. She was looked down a lot over at Mark Means's whatever he was drawing on or writing on. And she did that a lot.
He was writing on his paper, I do not know Chad Daybell. I have never represented Chad Daybell.
Yeah, exactly. So she was just totally different, I think.
I think so. I noticed, too, her shoulders, if you looked, they were sort of slumped forward. And I just kind of felt from her body language, maybe it was a little bit of the sign of defeat.
Yeah, the last two she's come in has been a little bit different each time.
And we've talked about it in the past on this podcast about will the time away from Chad ever lessen the effects of this brainwashing, which I'm not defending anybody. I do fully believe whatever mental issues Lori had prior to Chad, he was able to manipulate those in a way that put us where we are today. She's not innocent, don't get me wrong, but I do feel like there was some manipulation. The families have said she was a good mother. So I wonder if this time away from him for a few months now has made a difference. But we also heard about the teleconferences with them.
Yeah, and that was also in the Nate.
That was also in the Nate Eaton interview that he did with a local radio station today. And they were talking about how Lori...
in talking, we know that Chad FaceTimed her, or whatever you want to call it, through the video conferencing on the iPads. and he was convincing her that she had the community support, that all this would be over soon, just things like that. And that was shocking.
Yeah, Nate sounded a little perplexed when he was telling the story and just said that I don't even think it was just the community. I think he was trying to tell her that everybody supported her. I guess the general public, the people across the country who are in these Facebook groups by the tens of thousands. And he flat out said he's been lying to her. And I just thought it's a little, I'm sure for somebody who's had total control over somebody for so long, to know that they are away from you and they're able to be influenced by people around them, lawyers, your other family that it's clear he isolated her from. I mean, she couldn't even tell Colby where she was moving.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, that's sick. For her to be in the position she's in, he's still out at that time. He's still free at that point in time. And he's trying to convince her of that. That just shows you the mind control that he had.
Yeah, I think it was huge. But like we said, we're not excusing Lori in any way. But no. I do have my theories of how we got to where we are. And I do think it's a pretty big case of brainwashing and taking advantage of somebody who may not have had the best mental health going in this.
Yeah.
And
so, in looking too, what do you think about the clothes? She wasn't in her prison.
Yeah, I mean, look, when I covered Jodi Arias and I was in the courtroom for that, they made her look like a librarian. And if you followed that case and you saw the pictures that came off the camera they found in the washing machine, she was anything but modest. So it's almost like science, I think, for defense attorneys to make their client look less threatening, I guess is the word. And it's definitely something that happens, and it's well within her right to wear her street clothes. I'm curious, did Mark Means or his office get those clothes, or did Summer and Janice or somebody in her family supply her those clothes? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's within her right to do it, and you have a right to not look like a convicted criminal at your hearings because you're still awaiting your trial, but anybody can wear those clothes.
Yeah, and in talking about our mental health defense, we know that Idaho does not have an insanity defense.
Right.
But what do you think about just her mental? Can they go down that road and, not claim insanity defense, but prove she was mentally unstable?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Mark Means' only shot of any kind of reprieve for Lori. I don't see how she can say she didn't know the kids were missing, or Uncle Alex said he was taken to McDonald's and never came back. I mean, she didn't live her life for months as if her kids were missing and she didn't know what was wrong with them. But I do think, I don't know if Mark Means or if even Lori would allow him to try to see if they could get two doctors to say she's incompetent to stand trial. I mean, that's still on the table in Idaho. And I do think that mental health will have to come in. I mean, she's had mental health examinations years ago. We were reading an article or some legal papers today in 2007, and this was regarding the custody battle with Joseph Ryan, regarding Tylee and with the sexual assault allegations by Colby and apparently Tylee too. And she had to have a psych evaluation.
Yeah, and that was 2007.
A long time ago. And they said that she had fanatical religious beliefs even then. So I mean, there were times, obviously, when Charles was shot where she's needing to get a mental evaluation and she was not wanting to get a mental evaluation. But you're going back way before Chad Daybell, and you're seeing that she apparently had religious views. She even said that she thought Tylee was her sister who died. Melanie's mother was her sister and Tylee. So that's not normal.
No, that's totally unstable.
And in fact, in those papers, the doctor that examined her said that it was auditory and visual hallucinations. So I think Mark Means has to go that route, and he has to pull that mental evaluation and any other she's had where way before Chad, you document that she had some sort of an existing mental illness. And I think with the Munchausen, where we learned that Tylee was in and out of the hospital a lot, it sort of goes with maybe this, but I think Mark Means has to go down that road.
Yeah, plus, I mean, obviously the conversations that they've had, that Chad and Lori have had since she's been in jail, those were recorded.
Right.
So can he pull those in and use those as evidence, saying, this is what he's telling her.
Mm-hmm.
This is the control he had over her. So.
Yeah, you can pull in jailhouse conversations all day long, and it would be in the defense's favor to do that, not the prosecution. I mean, we don't know if there's anything the prosecution could use as far as jailhouse conversations, but if I'm her lawyer, I'm pulling that conversation she had with Chad where he's telling her the world loves her, everything's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be out of here soon, because that's still some sort of mind control. And I'm just thinking from a defense standpoint, what does Mark Means have to work with? And that, to me, that's about the only thing I could see, is it's some sort of a mental health defense.
Yeah. And that'll be interesting to see how that plays out and what they do there. You want to jump over to Chad's arraignment?
Yeah, well, Chad had pretty much the same hearing. He still has his original charges. Now we've added the conspiracy. It was Chad was in a shirt and tie, which is different. He had been the first initial hearing. He was in his prison stripes, but he was able to dress in his normal attire as well. I don't know, maybe that makes him feel better. I don't know. He sat there very smug.
Yeah, he didn't really have much emotion. There's some shots of him that look like he's, smiling when he was answering the judge.
Yeah. But it really wasn't anything to write home about. I mean, it was just sort of a formality. We didn't learn anything new with these new charges. So just, the two lovebirds having their separate arraignment hearings, it's just so romantic.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, we did see some stuff in jumping over to the Melanie Pawlowski, Brandon Bordeaux stuff, the documents that came out with that. There was a statement, and Melanie Gibb is testifying for Brandon, that she says that Lori told her that Lori told Kay that she had cancer, so she would take JJ back.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah, just when you think it can't get any worse than what it is, then you make up that you have cancer in order to get JJ back. So that was what she had told Melanie Gibb, and we know she told Melanie Gibb that she met Kay at the airport and JJ was with her and all that stuff. So, but
it's almost like it sort of fits the whole Munchausen syndrome in that it elicits sympathy. So whether you're going to the hospital every other day with your kid who's sick, it's the parent that thrives on that attention. It's the parent that eats it up, per se. Some parents do that for their own personal drug addictions and things like that. I feel like Lori just would have been, she liked the attention.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, anytime you start faking a terminal illness that so many people struggle with on a daily basis, you don't have any regard, in my opinion. It's just, what's going to make this easier for me, and I don't care how low I have to go, almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. I think we're going to find out so many other things like that, though.
Yeah. The other thing that was in that the hearing, and we were all waiting yesterday, trying to find out what was going on. They let you could get in with phone calls and listen, but they said the audio wasn't as good.
Yeah, they said a couple of people that listened in said you could hear the judge, but that was about it. The rest of it was kind of open to interpretation, what was happening.
Yeah. So there wasn't much new with that. The judge is just going to rule. He's taking a look at everything, and he's going to rule. They only had like 28 minutes per side to call. I think Brandon testified.
Yeah, they didn't call Melanie Gibb. And this was only for the accusation that Melanie had made against Brandon, that he was lying to the court. Is that right?
Yeah, that he was supposedly in contempt for lying.
Yeah, so this case didn't come in, although we do know on Brandon's paper what he provided for discovery was that Melanie Gibb was going to testify not only about the thing with, or saying that she had been told by Lori that she told Kay she had cancer or however that goes, but also about a trip that Melanie and Lori took in October, which was news to us. We had never heard about that.
Yeah.
So who knows if, I don't know if we've heard of another hearing that they're having yet. We'll stay on top of it, definitely. And we do want to see if that comes out, because that is pertinent to this case.
I know one thing that the judge didn't allow in that case, Melanie Pawlowski's attorney objected, was the email from Ian Pawlowski's ex-wife, Natalie. There was an email from Natalie to, I believe it was an attorney or something.
I think
they didn't allow that in. So we don't know if now Brandon, if his team will call her as a witness to testify on what she knows, but they did not allow that email in. And you knew some stuff about emails being allowed into.
Yeah, I've seen it go either way. It's just emails are really hard to prove that she actually sent that. I mean, that's kind of the argument you can make, even though people know somebody's not going to break in her house and send this really lengthy email to a lawyer. But I think they can consider it hearsay. I'm not sure exactly what prevents it from being read in court, but I have seen emails not brought in because you can't actually prove without an investigation who actually wrote that. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think that what they can prove with this case is definitely going to help Brandon because, I mean, for the first time a few days ago, we saw that Melanie actually is a person of interest in his attempted murder.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need a letter from an ex-wife, but it gave the public a little insight into obviously the panic Ian had the first few weeks of their marriage.
Yeah. I wish we could just get into the file and just look around, for.
But we don't want to end up in stripes like Lori, so we'll just wait for that stuff to come out.
Yeah, exactly.
And we'll see, because it's going to all come out, guys. It's starting to trickle out every day. We went months of just doing nothing but thinking about what this case was about, and I think we knew the moral of the story, but all these details that are coming out have really surprised me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, me too.
Just people are crazy.
Yep. So the other hearings that are coming up are Lori's is scheduled for August 10th and 11th. And they schedule both those days in case they don't finish in one day. So it starts at 9 o'clock, and that's Mountain Time, I believe. And then Chad's is August 3rd and 4th. The 3rd is at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time, and then the 4th is at 9:30 a.m.
So
Mountain Time.
August, the first week of August first 11 days is big for this case because you're going to have their hearings 1 week apart. So we'll see what happens. I think we'll definitely learn a little more in those hearings about what they know, because they're really going to have to put it out there why this goes to trial. I don't know, though. I'm just trying to figure out. I guess it depends on the autopsy. Do we get murder charges before these hearings?
Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah. I mean, they've already moved Lori's because of the new charges. So I would think if they upgrade, then, I mean, the defense will ask for a continuance. I don't think Mark Means or Chad's lawyers anywhere near close to going. Mark was definitely quieter yesterday.
Yeah, you couldn't really hear him that much.
He made sure that mask was covering his eyes. I'm not trying to be ugly, y'all, but I don't know how he was reading what he was writing because his mask was above his eyes.
It was very high. It was very high.
Oh, man.
I
think that's kind of all we have. We just wanted to do a really quick one. Still on vacation, and I'm just trying to hang out with my kids, but we wanted to update this tonight because we did miss those 2 hearings and that little piece about Melanie's hearing, which was, for this case, just a lot of nothing relevant here. So unless something else comes out, we'll probably see you guys next week around Tuesday. And if anything breaks, we will bring it to you, though. And I hope you guys have a great night.
Good night.
Adios.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.